A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
There's plenty of room in our establishment for everyone. I see that most of you are standing in the outer darkness, along the wall, in the corner. Well and good. But our inner circle, our chain of empathy, is not yet complete. 12 is such an even number. We need just one more. Won't someone volunteer? Come on. It's only in spirit. Ah, yes. You'll do nicely. Right here. On my left. Now, we're all set. Tonight, a tale about a common household pest in a very pestilent household. The events were related to us by an old gentleman picked up in a London street near Holborn. He seemed to have suffered a fall, and as he lay close to death, he couldn't get the story out of his mind. Listen now as our gentleman lives Anthony Vercoe's adventure of the fly one last time. It was sickening weather. A typical English summer. All day long, the rain had pattered on the rooftops and poured in a gurgling stream into the street gutters of the city. The dome of St. Paul's lay enveloped in a great black cloud. The whole sky to the westward was angry and dark, foreboding. Towards the dusk, the rain ceased for a while, and I crept out from the crude shelter of an arch to find some more tempting spot in which to spend the night. Not that it was cold. Far from it, the atmosphere was almost tropically oppressive and grew worse as still the thunder held off. But I was sick and faint from want of food, and longed with all the fever of despair for a clean, soft bed and palatable fare that I finally had it in the tank. It was while I dragged myself painfully in the direction of High Holborn that I first saw the house. The wood that I had been mercifully obliterated at that moment by some passing lorry, rather than live to repeat this tale. It was a little old-fashioned dwelling, not many that are to be seen in the district. Relics of Elizabethan time. It smirked at my misery through its diamond-paned windows, challenging me. A notice was plastered across the signboard protruding from the portal, bearing the heaven-sent word, "To let." To let. The hour was late. The street practically deserted. My head seemed to reel under the weight of the unexploded storm. As if to aid me in making up my mind, a large splash of rain as big as a penny fell with a soft plop onto my forehead. Warm and sticky like the night outside. And I hesitated no longer. Within that smirking, self-satisfied, wise old house lay refuge from the deluge which threatened me. Cautiously, I approached the door. It was locked, of course. I examined the window fastenings on the ground floor window and cursed my usual bad luck. Then a weakness in the lead round one of the diamonds caught my attention. I glanced quickly to the right and left. The policeman at the corner was back to me. Two couples hurried by. Another quick look. I was unobserved. A tinkle of breaking glass. A thrust of the arm, a turn of the wrist, and the window was open. Open. And beckoning. I scrabbled with my hands on the window ledge and painfully drew myself up. The effort cost me what little strength I'd left. But at last I lay exhausted, though triumphant, inside. I don't know how long I remained there, gasping on the floor, my heart hammering in my breast, my temples knocking. It may have been an hour. Only a few moments, maybe I fainted. Remember, I had had no food for 3 days. But at last I rose, to close the window again to avoid suspicion, and felt in my pockets for an odd match. I struck it. Then, at what its light revealed, I nearly dropped it. The room was furnished, splendidly furnished, in a style 3 centuries old. A 7-fold candelabra gleamed metallic on the mantel, and I hurriedly applied my wavering match to it that I might see better. I held my hand over the flame, thinking that my weakness was playing tricks with me. But no, it was true. I, a hungry, homeless vagabond, had found sanctuary in a home beyond my wildest dreams. An antiquary's paradise. Carrying my candelabra, I advanced to the door. Then on the threshold I halted. A sudden fear had shaken me. The house I had seen from outside had looked bare and empty. There had been that to-let sign to confirm its appearance. This house, on the contrary, was comfortably, even sumptuously furnished. And it had the feel of a house that is lived in. Suppose I had made a mistake. Suppose in my feeble and overwrought state I had broken into the wrong house. I could expect little mercy at the hands of the occupants. There was a policeman at the corner, and I was virtually a burglar. I realized how tame my excuses would sound if he hauled me over to the station. Prison, yeah, there was always shelter there. But my old pride had always forbidden me to avail myself of it. Pride. Pride in my condition. And then I first heard it. It seemed to come from within my brain. Low-pitched, buzzing. And I began to wonder what new trick my failing strength was playing me. But the sound droned on, sometimes increasing, sometimes decreasing. I became conscious that the room was growing warmer. I swayed a little and stretched out my hand to the door. It opened easily. And a moment later, I stood in the hall. Almost immediately I realized that the buzzing had stopped. By the light of my candles, I marked a little door in the passage, which presumably led to the kitchen, and staggered towards it. There might food lie. The long flight of oak stairs trembling upwards I disregarded for fear of waking the householder. Cautiously, I pushed open the little door and stepped through. I was in a kind of parlor. And beyond, through another door, I could see the kitchen. Now I lifted my candelabra and gazed about me. To my right, a second door showed me where the housekeeper slept. I looked to my left. Spread on a small oak table was the most delicious meal I could have hoped for. Food! I stumbled towards it and, setting down the light, began to eat ravenously. All moral scruples vanished at the sight of food. I was a man. I was starving. Surely none would deny me the means to stay these gnawing pangs. And then it came again. A low, continuous buzzing. But not in the head this time. My head was clear. The sound seemed to come from the housekeeper's room. I threw about and approaching the door, bent my head to the crack. There's the buzzing. Yes, unmistakably it came from within. I put my eye to the keyhole. But the room was in darkness. A queer temptation came to me to trace this sound to its source. And at risk of waking anyone who might be sleeping inside, I placed my hand on the knob and cautiously turned it. Almost immediately the sound of buzzing was stopped. Slowly, very slowly, I opened the door and peeped inside. Then I think my heart froze. Supported across two chairs was a long wooden box whose shape filled me with an unnameable dread. 2 3-branch candelabras stood with their fuel gutted out upon the floor. The lid of the coffin was off. At first, by my candlelight, I thought that the occupant of the coffin was a black man. Then, as I peered, horror-stricken by my gruesome discovery, the ghastly buzzing recommenced. It seemed as though a veil was plucked simultaneously from the corpse's face, leaving what had been mercifully hidden bare in all its festering corruption to my revolting gaze. I stepped backward toward the door, shutting my eyes to the white boldness of that putrefying thing in the coffin, but I held my breath to withstand the stench that arose from it. Then something got in the way of my foot and I stumbled. The doorknob flew out of my hand and I heard the door slam behind me. The next instant I was battling frenziedly with a monstrous, droning, buzzing cloud of broken eyes which had been feasting on the corpse. Madly I beat at them with my fists. The whole room seemed alive with little hairy legs, with tiny sticky teeth trying to settle in my skin. And all the time they kept up that hideous buzzing sound, and they beat furiously with their wings on the pediment. One of them larger than the rest of them, by weight settled on my lips, and sought to insert its leprous body into my mouth. All of a sudden I just feasting on flashes in my mind, nauseating me. And I struck savagely with my bare hands, and this huge fat body squelched in my teeth and dropped. Somehow I gained the door and opened it. I had dropped my candelabra in my panic, and now panting and sweating with fear, half crawled, half rolled into the parlor. As I heard the door of the bedroom slam to after me, I breathed a prayer of relief for my escape. There had been something unnatural in the behavior of those flies. Something almost wickedly intelligent in the way they had attacked me. Their assault had the appearance of being carefully organized by a superior brain. By the mind of some great leader or general. Deprived of my light, I groped in the darkness for the little door which led into the hall. My fingers closed on the knob and turned it round it went, meeting with no resistance from the lock. While all the time a chill fear crept up my spine, paralyzing the very thoughts. Something had happened to the catch. The knob was useless. I was locked in. Madly, I shook and rattled with the doorknob. Time and again, I flung the pitiful weight of my wasted body against the sturdy oak of that small, relentless door, exhausting my newly gained strength and useless effort. Then, when all hope had nearly left me, then in a flash I remembered the kitchen. Fool! I cursed my stupidity and stumblingly I fumbled across the pitch-dark parlor to the kitchen door. Here surely would be a way of escape. I turned and shook my fist in the direction of those half-human flies buzzing maddeningly behind that shut door. That other door. The door of death. It was my body they wanted, to drink live blood and taste live flesh. I felt it, I'd known it there in that room when I fought them. But I would cheat them, I'd cheat them yet. I staggered across the threshold into the kitchen and made my way to the back door. A big window yawned to the right of it. Flooding the place with a clear white moonlight. I tried the latch. Oh, blessed Virgin, it turned. But I ceased to laugh. Not a fraction of an inch would the door move either way. I strained and tugged and pulled. At last I felt round the edges of the door, and the mystery stood revealed. Sharp points of nails, placed at regular intervals, cut my fingers. My exit had been nailed up from the outside. But why? Why? Even as I wondered, I heard the clanging of a bell somewhere in the street. I peered through the window. Queer how different London looks by moonlight. I realized I was gazing in a part of the city I had not dreamed existed. The houses opposite seemed almost to invade those on my side of the road. So narrow was the thoroughfare between. Different, too, they were. Their black beams ornamented here and there with fantastic designs, while their gables lowered menacingly over my head, leaving but a strip of sky. Again that bell, nearer this time, and with it I could fancy I heard the scrape and bump of heavy wheels over the cobbles. And a voice was calling something. Hoarse, melancholy voice. But the words eluded me. Who could be selling things in Holborn at this time of night? But at least he might render me assistance if only I could attract his attention. I clambered on to a table which stood by the window and looked down. Here the street was on a lower level than in the front of the house. The jump would be difficult, even dangerous. The cart it was, rolled into view, drawn by a great black horse. A man was leading it, and occasionally shouting his melancholy cry. While behind him on the cart itself another man was sitting, queerly silent, his whole attitude indicative of the deepest despair. There was a lantern on the table beside me, and finding another match, I lit it, moving it slowly from side to side in front of the window. Soon they would see it, would stop their cart below me, and let me jump to the clean comfort of the open street. Or anything rather than stay another moment in the evil silence of this uncanny house. He had seen me. He was looking up at the window. What was that he was calling? I smiled and nodded, beckoning him nearer. And now his words came clearer. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. He pointed to the back of his great ponderous cart. It was full, heaped high with what? Shuddering, I saw that the tangled, torturous mass in the back of the cart was human freight. And the shaft of moonlight fell for an instant across them. That some were not dead. Yet, scarce understanding even then what it meant, I looked across at the darkened doorways of the houses opposite and gasped. Each door was marked with a large cross. The cross of despair. The cross of humanity. The cross of the plague. The cart rumbled on, and I let it go. I was dazed with the meaning of it all. Had I stepped back through 300 years when I broke through the window of the house in Holborn? Had I died outside when I lay under the arch in the pouring rain? And could this be my hell? And even while I clasped my tortured head in my hands, I heard again that dread buzzing of the flies. Fearfully I tiptoed to the kitchen door and held my lantern aloft. The droning from the death chamber swelled louder than a swarm of bees. They were angry at being balked of their prey. The living prey that was so much rarer than the dead. The atmosphere in the parlor was stifling, and I longed for something to drink. I thought of the wine and food on the table in the corner. And then seeing it recoiled. Had I really eaten that writhing mass of great white worms? Or had the food putrefied during the few minutes I had been out of the room? Then something hummed triumphantly round my head, and out of reach. I turned and stared, hypnotized at what I saw. Watching me from its perch on a piece of rotten meat on the table was an enormous fat blowfly. There seemed to be something malevolent about its very immovability. And as I looked, it was joined by another and yet another, and now the buzzing became apparent within the parlor itself. I turned my head and stared at the bedroom door. From under a crack at the bottom of the door came an endless wriggling stream of fat black bodies as big as nutmegs. One by one they spread their wings and hummed clumsily up to the table, where they settled and fixed me. A motionless dark mass behind the 3 liters. The noise of the buzzing filled the thick atmosphere of the room. And into it crept a new note. A note almost in exultation, a fiendish delight at the way they had outwitted me. They formed up in companies, awaiting the signal to charge, while I could only stare, held spellbound by their uncanny discipline. For a moment there was a complete stillness, as the last of them joined the watching army. Then in a mass they rose. And the room echoed to the shrill, savage beating of their wings. I dropped the lantern and fled into the kitchen, while all about me the disease-carrying vermin buzzed and whirled. Steadily on my face I echoed my tears. I fought them off blindly. I picked up the table by the window. drop at least out of the street, but I did not hesitate. The plague was in the house. The bride carried the plague. The food I had eaten had been infected. I could feel the lump on my arm, and a curious feeling of nausea overcame me. With my bare arm, I smashed the glass of the window, tearing and beating down the lead between the panes like a maniac. I had the dread scourge. I eat the buzzing pest. They might feast on my body, but never whilst I drew breath. Then I crashed headlong down into the street. Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead! Incidentally, there's no sign of a house at that particular corner of Holborn where the old man was found. But the road there does cross the site of one of the many pits which harbor the bodies of the victims who died as a result of the Great Plague. But now it's time to break up our little gathering for this evening. We'll meet again real soon. Join us. Bring a friend. Good night.
And now, do not expect quite to understand the story you are about to hear any more than you or your analysts quite understand your own nightmares. In answer to numerous requests for something by Franz Kafka, here is our adaptation of his story, A Country Doctor. What a perplexity. What a perplexity. I should be starting on an urgent journey. A seriously ill patient is waiting for me in a village 10 miles away. But between him and me, a thick blizzard fills all the wide spaces. I have a gig, a light gig with big wheels, exactly right for our country roads. Muffled in furs. My bag of instruments in my hand. I'm in the courtyard all ready for the journey, but there's no horse to be had, no horse. My own horse died in the night, worn out by the fatigues of this icy winter. My servant girl, Rose, is running around the village trying to borrow a horse. But it's hopeless, I know it. And I stand here, snow gathering more and more thickly upon me, more and more unable to move. Hello? There's the girl now, waving her lantern. Of course, who would lend a horse at this hour for such a journey? I can see no way out. What good is walking about here? There's the pigsty. Pigsty. Empty for over a year. Damned old door almost off its hinges. But inside, a steam and smell of horses. Dim stable lanterns swinging from a rope. A man crouching. An open, blue-eyed face crawling out on all fours. What else is in the sty, I wonder?
Well, you never know what you're going to find in your own house, do you?
Yes, that's a good one. You never know what you're going to find in your own house. Oh, look!
Oh, look at that thing.
Enormous creatures. How can they get out? They're beauties. Oh, I think they'll make it. See, they're squeezing out of the door. Sheer strength of... What bodies they are. That did it. Sheer and clear.
I need some help in the harnessing.
Rose, give him a hand. Hurry.
Yes, Rose. You give me a hand.
All right. What shall I do then?
Come on.
Oh!
Hey, here, watch this.
Bit me. Look at my cheek.
Oh, you brute. Let me see, Rose. Let me see. Oh, yes. A true rows of teeth. Blood prints clearly defined. You brute. Do you want a whipping, do you? On the other hand, the man is a stranger. I cannot imagine where he's come from. Yet, of his own free will, he's helping me out when everyone else has failed me. There he is, tying the horses up with the gig. No offense there.
No offense. Everything's ready. Come on now, get in.
A magnificent pair of horses. Fine. Here, help me up. But I'll drive. You don't know the way.
Of course you'll drive. I'm not coming with you. I'm going to stay here, Rosie.
No!
Rose, wait. Listen, you're coming with me or I won't go. Urgent as my journey is, I'm certainly not going to pay for it by handing the girl over to you. Wait. You let her alone. You hear? Hey, stop. Stop. I can't see him through the storm. The snow, we're almost blind. The snow is blinding all my senses. In a moment, it seemed as if my patient's farmhouse had opened out just before my courtyard gate. I'm already there. The blizzard has stopped. Moonlight all around. The patient's parents, I can't understand a word they say. The sick room. The air is almost unbreathable. It's stifling. The stove is smoking. Why doesn't someone open a window? Stupid people. But there. There's my patient. A boy. A young fellow. No clothes on. Gaunt, vacant eyes. But without any fever. Not cold. Not warm. Doctor. He heaves himself up from the feather bedding and throws his arms around my neck.
Doctor, let me die. Please, let me die.
No one heard, I think. The parents are all leaning forward silently, waiting for my verdict. Boy, don't clutch at me so.
Please let me die. Please.
Ah, yes. In cases like this, the guards are helpful. Send the missing horse. Add to it a second because of the urgency, and to crown it all, provide also a groom. Oh, Rose. Oh, with that brute. What can I do? How can I rescue her? How can I possibly pull her away from under that brute 10 miles away with a team of horses I can't control? Someone must have loosed them from the gig. But they have opened the windows, I suppose. There they are. Each one at a window, their heads stuck through. Watching the patient. Or maybe they're summoning me. I'd better go back at once.
Wait. Huh? You're dazed by the heat. Let me take your coat.
Just wait. Here, let me pour you a glass of rum.
No, thank you. Not now.
Oh.
Stupid old man. How does he get the nerve to be so familiar? I suppose he thinks that just because he's offered his treasured rum. Now he thinks I'm sick. The narrow confines of his silly thoughts is the only possible reason for refusing. And that woman. I suppose that's the mother. Why is she beckoning? She wants me to look at her son. Well, I'll listen. His breast shivers under my wet beard. Well, just as I thought, young man. You're quite sound. Something a little wrong with your circulation. Your mother's been filling you with coffee, eh? Well, you're quite sound, and you ought to be shoved out of bed. But I'm no world reformer. So I can only let you lie. I'm only the district doctor, and do my duties as well as I can. To the point where it becomes almost too much. I'm badly paid, and yet generous and helpful to the poor. I must still see that Rose is all right. And then the boy can have his way. And I want to die too. What am I doing here in this endless winter? My horse is dead, and not a single person in the village will lend me another. I have to get my team out of a pigsty. If they hadn't chanced to be horses, I would have had to travel with swine. That's how it is. And this silly family. Oh, they know nothing about it, and if they did know, they wouldn't believe it. To write prescriptions is easy, but to come to an understanding with people, that's hard. Well, this should be the end of my visit. I've once more been called out needlessly. But I'm used to that. I'm used to that with my night bell. The whole district has made my life a torment with that bell. But that I should have to sacrifice Rose this time as well. Lovely, lovely Rose. She's lived in my house for years, almost without my noticing her. That sacrifice is too much to ask. This stupid family. Well, with the best intentions in the world, they couldn't restore Rose to me. So what's the use of blaming them? Look at them. What a sight. Oh, what's the matter with that mother? I suppose she's disappointed in me. Why? What do people expect? And the sister with her blood-soaked towel. Well, what am I to do? Maybe I should admit that the boy is ill after all. Poor lad. Look at him. Smiling a welcome, as if I were bringing him the most nourishing invalid broth. Oh, those stupid horses! I suppose that noise was ordained by heaven to assist my examination of the patient. Let's see, lad. Let's have another look at you. Wait a minute. I was wrong. You are indeed ill. An open wound in your right side, near the hip. An open wound as big as the palm of my hand. Rose red. Many variations of shade. Dark in the hollows and lighter at the edges. Softly granulated. Irregular clots of blood. Open as a mine to the daylight. But now that I look closer, a further complication. Oh, poor boy, poor boy. Oh, worms as thick and as long as my little finger. Rose red and blood spotted, wriggling from their fastness in the interior of the wound towards the light. Worms with little white heads and many little legs. Oh, poor boy, you are past helping. You are past helping. I have discovered your great wound. This blossom in your side has been destroying you. Poor boy. Poor boy. Your family, at least, is pleased. They see me busy here. Your sister tells your mother, and your mother tells your father. Your father is telling several guests who are coming in. Look at them, walking on tiptoe, trying to keep their balance by stretching out their arms. Fools, what a family, what a family.
Doctor.
Yes, boy.
Doctor, will you save me?
Oh, poor boy. You are blinded by the life within your wound.
Doctor, will you save me?
Oh, that is what people are like in my district, always expecting the impossible from the doctor. They have lost their ancient beliefs. The parson sits at home and unravels his vestments, one after another. But the doctor is supposed to be omnipotent with his merciful surgeon's hands. Well, as it pleases them. I have not thrust my services upon them. If they misuse me for sacred ends, I let that happen to me, too. What better do I want? Old country doctor that I am. Bereft even of my servant girl. And the family and the village elders surround me. They strip my clothes off me. What's that? Oh, outside, a school choir has gathered, with the teacher at the head of it. What are they singing? Listen to them. Strip his clothes off, then he'll heal us. If he doesn't, kill him dead. Only a doctor. Only a doctor. The family stares at me, standing here naked before them. But I am composed. I look back at them, my fingers in my beard, my head slanted to one side. I am altogether composed and equal to the situation. But it seems to have done me no good. They take me by the hands and feet and carry me to the bed. They lay me down in it, next to the wall, on the side of the wound, and leave the room. Oh, the bedding is warm around me. The horses' heads in the open window waver like shadows.
You know, I have very little confidence in you. Why, you were only blown in here You didn't come on your own feet. Instead of helping me, you're cramping me on my deathbed. I'd really like to scratch your eyes out.
You're right. It is a shame. And yet I am a doctor. I'm a doctor. What am I to do? Believe me, it is not easy for me either.
Oh, come now. Am I supposed to be satisfied with this apology? I suppose I must be. There's nothing I could do about it. I always have to put up with things. A beautiful wound is all I have brought into the world. That was my sole endowment.
My young fellow, your mistake is you have not a wide enough view. I have been in all the sick rooms far and wide, and let me tell you, your wound is not so bad, done in a tight corner with 2 strokes of an axe. Many a one props his side and can hardly hear the axe in the forest, far less that it is coming nearer to him.
Is that really the truth? Or are you deluding me in my fever?
Oh, it's the truth. It's really the truth. You can take my word of honor as an official doctor.
All right. I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it.
Oh, poor boy. Poor boy. But now it's time for me to think of escaping. The horses. My clothes. My fur coat. My bag. Oh, I'd better not waste time dressing now. Now I'm only going from this bed to my own, so to speak, if the horses get me home as fast as they got me here. Into the gig with my stuff. Oops. Oh, my fur coat is only hooked on by the sleeve. Oh, well, good enough. Now, I'll get onto the horse. Now, gee up. Come on, gee up. Come on. Come on, gee up. Come on. Gee up. Come on. You're crawling along. Slowly, like old men. Through all this snowy waste. Oh, what are they singing? Oh, be joyful, all you patients. The doctor's laid in bed beside you. The doctor's laid in bed beside you. Never shall I reach home at this rate. My flourishing practice is done for. My successor is robbing me. But in vain, for he cannot take my place. In my house, that disgusting groom is carrying on with Rose, his victim. Oh, I don't want to think about it anymore. Naked, exposed to the frost of this most unhappy of ages, with an earthly vehicle, unearthly horses. Old man that I am, I wander astray. My fur coat is hanging from the back of the gig, but I cannot reach it, and none of my limber pack of patients lifts a finger. Betrayed! A false alarm on the night bell, once answered. It cannot be made good. Not ever. It cannot be made good. Not ever. That was A Country Doctor by Franz Kafka. The part of the patient was played by Larry Maiden. Bernard Mays played the groom, and Pat Franklin was Rose. The part of the country doctor and the several characters in Oil of Dog were played by your host of the Black Mass, Eric Bowersfeld. The technical production for both stories was by John Whiting, and our Black Mass theme music was specially designed by Peter Winkler. And now, it is time to break up our little gathering for tonight. We'll meet again, real soon, around this hour. Join us at that time. And now, good night.
The Black Mass series was conceived by Jack Nessel and recorded in the studios of KBFA in Berkeley.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Black Mass. Our little establishment is currently being renovated, and I would like this evening to dispense with the usual voice of your host and his creaking door and chain of empathy, and get right down to business. As you know, this series has been bringing you adaptations of stories about the macabre, the bizarre, the supernatural, and the generally discomforting. Strangely, we have neglected thus far one of the supreme masters of this art, Edgar Allan Poe. Tonight, we make amends by bringing you two of his works. Our first selection may be unfamiliar to most of you. Surely it is one of the strangest stories you will ever have heard. Here is Pat Franklin as Signora Psyche Zenobia in Edgar Allan Poe's tale, A Predicament.
It was a quiet and still afternoon when I strolled forth in the goodly city of Edina. I had two humble but faithful companions, Diana, my poodle, sweetest of creatures, and Pompey, my negro. Sweet Pompey, how shall I ever forget thee? I had taken Pompey's arm. He was 3 feet in height and about 70 or perhaps 80 years of age. He had bow legs and was corpulent. Nature had endowed him with no neck. I am Signora Psyche Zenobia. I formed the third of the party. On a sudden, there presented itself to view a church, a Gothic cathedral, vast, venerable, with a tall steeple which towered into the sky. What madness now possessed me? Why did I rush upon my fate? I was seized with an uncontrollable desire to ascend the giddy pinnacle. The door of the cathedral stood invitingly open. My destiny prevailed. I entered the ominous archway. I thought the staircase would never have an end. Round, yes, they went round and up, and round and up, and round and up, until I could not help surmising that the upper end of the spiral ladder had been removed. climbed until only one step remained. One step. Oh, one little step. Upon one such little step in the great staircase of human life, how vast a sum of human happiness or misery depends. I abandoned the arm of Pompey and surmounted the one remaining step, followed immediately by Diana. Pompey alone remained behind, stretching forth his hand to me. Then, in helping him up, he stumbled and fell forward, his accursed head striking me full in the breast, precipitating me headlong, together with himself, upon the hard, filthy, detestable floor of the belfry. My revenge was sure, sudden, and complete. Seizing him furiously by the wool with both hands, I tore out vast quantities of black, crisp, curling material. Oh, Pompey. Oh, that sigh. It sunk into my heart. Oh, and our quarrel was quickly made up. We looked about the room for an aperture through which we could survey the city. Windows, there were none. The sole light admitted into the gloomy chamber proceeded from a square opening, about a foot in diameter and about 7 feet from the floor. I called Pompey to my side. Pompey? Pompey! I wish to look through that aperture. Here, stand here, just beneath it. Good. Now, hold out one of your hands. Good. I step up. Oh. Now the other hand. So I can get on your shoulder. Good. Now, I can easily pass my head through the... What a view! Edinburgh, the classic Edina. Oh, just look! The aperture through which I thrust my head was an opening in the dial plate of a gigantic clock. The hands of the clock were immense. The longest could not have been less than 10 feet in length. They were of solid steel, apparently, and their edges appeared to be sharp. But what a view! Lovely! Lovely! It might have been half an hour that I was absorbed in the heavenly scenery beneath me, when suddenly I was startled by something very cool, which pressed with a gentle pressure upon the back of my neck. I felt alarmed. What could it be? Not Pompey. He was beneath my feet. Not Diana. She was sitting, according to my explicit directions, in the farthest corner of the room. What could it be? Alas, I but too soon discovered the huge, glittering, scimitar-like minute hand of the clock had, in the course of its hourly revolution, descended upon my neck. I pulled back at once, but it was too late. I couldn't get my head back through the mouth of that terrible trap, which grew narrower and narrower. I threw up my hands and endeavored with all my strength to force upward the ponderous iron bar. I might as well have tried to lift the cathedral itself. Down, down, down it came, closer and closer. Pompey! Pompey, help me! The ponderous precise of time, for I now discovered the literal import of that classical phrase, continued down, down. It had already buried its sharp edge a full inch in my flesh. My sensations were growing indistinct and confused. The ticking of the machinery began to amuse me. My sensations soon bordered on perfect happiness. When the bar had buried itself 2 inches in my neck, I was aroused to a sense of exquisite pain. But a new horror presented itself. My eyes, from the cruel pressure of the machine, were absolutely starting from their sockets. One actually tumbled out of my head, and rolling down the steep side of the steeple, lodged in the rain gutter which ran along the eaves of the building. There it lay, just under my nose, and the airs it gave itself disgusting and inconvenient. On account of the sympathy which always exists between 2 eyes of the same head, however far apart, my other eye was forced to act in concert with the scoundrel one below. Oh, what relief when the other eye dropped out. Both rolled out of the gutter together. Down, down, down. The bar, now 4 inches and a half deep, only a little skin left to cut through. Sensations of entire happiness. Relief in a matter of minutes. At 25 minutes past 5 in the afternoon, precisely, the huge minute hand had proceeded sufficiently far on its terrible revolution to sever the small remainder of my neck. I was not sorry to see the head, which had occasioned me so much embarrassment, at length make a final separation from my body. It first rolled down the side of the steeple, then lodged for a few seconds in the gutter, and then made its way with a plunge into the middle of the street. There was nothing now to prevent my getting down from my elevation, and I did so. Well, hello there, Pompey. Pompey, what's the stairs? Oh, Pompey, dear Pompey. What it was that Pompey saw so very peculiar in my appearance, I have never yet been able to find out. Then I turned to Diana, the darling of my heart. Alas, what a horrible vision affronted me. Was that a rat sulking in his hole? Are these the picked bones of the little angel, cruelly devoured by the monster? God, sweet creature. She, too, has sacrificed herself in my behalf. Ah, darkless, niggerless, headless. What now remains for the unhappy Senora Psyche Zenobia? Alas, nothing. Nothing. I have done.
That was Pat Franklin in A Predicament by Edgar Allan Poe. We hope it will send you searching among the lesser-known works of Poe for many comparable little gems. And now our second selection from the author of the evening will be as familiar to everyone as Hamlet's soliloquy or the Apostles' Creed. And it has been performed by nearly everyone, and in every possible medium. We doubt, however, that you've ever heard it quite like the following.
Too nervous. Very dreadfully nervous. I had been, and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing a truth. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me, he had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work. For it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have had to be a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. And never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea. And perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back. Oh, but no. His room was as black as pitch with a thick darkness. For the shutters were close-fastened for fear of robbers. And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door. And I kept pushing it on, steadily,
my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening and the old man sprang up in the bed crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle. And in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently, I heard a slight groan. And I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh, no, it was the slow, stifled sound that rises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. And then in night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up in my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and pitied him, though I chuckled at heart. I knew he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but he could not. It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor. It is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp. Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain, because death in approaching him had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, though he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot out from the crevice and full upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow of my bones. I could see nothing else. Nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot. And now have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses? Now I say there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried to see how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meanwhile, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder. I say louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am a nervous man. So I am. Now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me into uncontrollable terror. Yet for some moments longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst. Now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once. Once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled a heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard to the walls. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards. Oh, cleverly. So cunningly that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock. Still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well, search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasure secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat, and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness. Until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently, and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased. And what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key, with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? Paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observation of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh, God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise rose over all and gradually increased. It grew louder, louder, louder. And still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, no. They heard, they suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. I thought, and this I think, that anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. Now again, hark. Louder, 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 louder. Ah, villains! Villains, dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Here, tear up the plank. Here. Ah, it is the beating of his hideous heart. That was, of course, The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. This evening we brought you two tales by Poe. The first was A Predicament, with Pat Franklin as Signora Zenobia. Technical production was by John Whiting. The technical production for The Telltale Heart was by Fred Seiden, and performed for you by your host of the Black Mass, Eric Bowersfeld. 2 weeks from tonight we shall be back again, all dressed up in a new format, presently being tailored by Peter Winkler. Join us at that time. Good night.
Hello. Welcome to the Black Mass. We've been hoping you'd join us tonight. There's plenty of room in our establishment for everyone. I see that most of you are standing in the outer darkness, along the walls, in the corners. Well and good. But our inner circle, our chain of empathy, is not yet complete. 12 is such an even number. We need just one more. Won't someone volunteer? Come on. It's only in spirit. Ah, yes. You'll do nicely. Right here, on my left. Now, we're all set. Tonight, a story about a cathedral. A very old cathedral. Haunted, of course, but in a very special way. Here is Walter de la Mare's account of All Hallows. It was about 3:30 on an August afternoon when I found myself for the first time looking down upon All Hallows. And at glimpse of it, fatigue and vexation passed away. I stood at gaze, as the old phrase goes, like the 2 children of Israel sent in to spy out the promised land. How often the imagined transcends the real. Not so All Hallows. Having at last reached the end of my journey, flies, dust, heat, wind, having at last come limping out upon the green sea bluff beneath which lay its walls, I confess, the actuality excelled my feeble dreams of it. What most astonished me, perhaps, was the sense not so much of its age, its austerity, or even its solitude, but its air of abandonment. It lay couched there as if in hiding in its narrow sea bay. No other roof, not even a chimney was in sight. Only the dark blue arch of the sky, the narrow snow line of the ebbing tide, and that gaunt coast, fading away into a haze of a west over which were already gathering the veils of sunset. At this moment of the afternoon, the great church almost cheated one into the belief that it was possessed of a life of its own. It lay like some half-fossilized monster that might at any moment stir and waken. Walls so ancient and so sparsely adorned and decorated could not but be inhospitable in effect. From my vantage place on the hill that dominates it, I continued for a while to watch All Hallows, to spy upon it. Those gigantic statues which flank the base of the unfinished tower, images of angels and of saints as I had learned of old from my guidebook. Only 6 of them at most could be visible, of course, from where I sat, and yet I found myself counting them again and yet again, as if doubting my own arithmetic. For my first impression had been that there were 7 in view. But then the lights even of day may be deceitful, and fantasy plays strange tricks with one's eyes. In the midst of my prolonged scrutiny, the hypnotic air, the heat, must suddenly have overcome me. I fell asleep up there in my grove's scanty shade, and remained asleep long enough to dream an immense panoramic dream. On waking, I could recall only the faintest vestiges of it, and found that the hand of my watch had crept on. It was 8 minutes past 4. I scrambled up, numbed and inert with that peculiar sense of panic that sometimes follows an uneasy sleep. What folly to have been frittering time away within sight of my goal at an hour when no doubt the cathedral would soon be closed to visitors and abandoned for the night to its own secret ruminations. I hastened down the steep incline of the hill, and once more came within sight of the sea. A sea so near that I could hear its enormous sallies and murmurings. Indeed, I had not realized till that moment how closely the great western doors of the cathedral abutted on the beach. It was as if its hospitality had been deliberately designed not for a people to whom the faith of which it was the shrine had become a weariness and a commonplace, but for the solace of pilgrims from over the ocean. And so at last I found my way into All Hallows, entering by a rounded, dwarfish side door with zigzag mouldings. There hung for corbel to its dripstone a curious, leering face, with its forked tongue out, to give me welcome, and an appropriate one, too, for the figure I made. But once beneath that prodigious roof tree, I forgot myself and everything that was mine. The hush, the coolness, the unfathomable twilight drifted in on my small human consciousness. Where was I? What demon of what romantic chasm had swept my poor drowsy body into this immense haunt? Then, at one and the same moment, a sense of utter dismay at earthly surroundings no longer serene, but grim and forbidding flooded my mind. I became aware that I was no longer alone. 20 or 30 paces away, an old man was standing. To judge from the black and purple velvet and tassel-tagged gown he wore, he was a verger. He had not yet realized, it seemed, that a visitor shared his solitude, and yet he was listening. His head craned forward and leaned sideways on his rusty shoulders. As I steadily watched him, he raised his eyes, and with a peculiar stealthy deliberation scanned the complete upper regions of the northern transept. Not the faintest rumor of any sound that may have attracted his attention reached me. He continued so long in the same position that at last I determined to break in on his reverie. At the sound of my footsteps, his head sunk cautiously back upon his shoulders. I must apologize for the lateness of my arrival. It's been a far walk from town. Until I caught sight of you, I hadn't ventured very far inside the cathedral. Otherwise, I might have found myself a prisoner for the night. It must be dark in here when there is no moon.
Aye. As a matter of fact, sir, the cathedral is closed to visitors at 4. At such times, that is, when there is no afternoon service. Services are not as frequent as they were, but visitors are rare, too.
I thought perhaps I might be able to find a room for the night and really explore the cathedral tomorrow morning. It was a tiring journey.
It is a fatiguing journey, sir, taken on foot. Carriage parties occasionally make their way here, but not so much as once.
We are far too out of the hurly-burly to be much intruded on. Not that them who come to make their worship here are intruders, far from it, but most that come are mere sightseers. And the fewer of them, I say, in the circumstances, the better.
Well, I cannot claim to be a regular churchgoer. I am myself a mere sightseer. And yet, even to sit here for a few minutes is to be reconciled.
Reconciled, sir. I can well imagine it after that journey on a day such as this. But to live here is another matter.
Yes, I can imagine it's desolate enough here in the winter.
Aye, we have our storms, sir, the bad and the good. And our position is specially prolific of what they call a sea fog. It comes driving in from the sea for days and nights together. Gale and mist, so that you can scarcely see your open hand in front of your eyes, even in broad daylight. And the noise of it, sir, the noise of it, sweeping across overhead in that woolliness of mist. If you take me, it is most peculiar. Shocking to a stranger. No, sir, we are left pretty much to ourselves when the fine weather birds are flown.
Well, I don't want to detain you at this late hour, but you were saying that services are infrequent now. Why is that?
Pray don't think of keeping me, sir. It's a part of my duties. You may have seen something that appeared in the newspapers not many months ago. We lost our dean, Dean Pomfrey, last November. To all intents and purposes, I mean, and his office has not yet been filled. They are greedy monsters, those newspapers. No respect, no discretion, no decency in my view, and they copy each other like cats in a chorus. We have never wanted to be a notoriety here, sir, and not of late of all times. We must face our own troubles. You'd be astonished how callous the mere sightseer can be, and not only them from over the water whom our particular troubles cannot concern, but far worse, parties as English as you or me. They ask you questions you wouldn't believe possible in a civilized country. Not that they care what becomes of us, not one iota, sir. We talk of them masked-up inquisitors in olden times. But there's many a human being in our own would enjoy seeing a fellow creature on the rack if he could get the opportunity. It's a heartless age, sir. A heartless age. But would you care to see any particular part of the building? The light is smalling, but still, if we keep to the ground level, there'll be a few minutes to spare. And we shall not be interrupted if we go quietly on our way. For a moment the referent saluted me. I could only thank him for the suggestion, and once more beg him not to put himself to any inconvenience. He led me off gently down the aisle, once more coming to a standstill beneath the roof of the tower.
I had no personal acquaintance with Dr. Pomfrey, but I had read of his illness in the newspapers. Isn't he the author of The Church and the Folk? If so, he must have been an exceedingly learned and delightful man.
Aye, sir, aye. You may well say it. A saint if ever there was one. But it's worse than illness, sir. It's oblivion. Our dean, sir, was a man who was all things to all men. No pride of place, no vauntingness, none of that apron and garter high and mightiness whatsoever, sir. And then that. And to come on us without warning. Or at least without warning that could be taken as such. I followed his eyes into the darkening stony spaces above us. A light like tarnished silver lay over the soundless vaultings. Nothing moved up there. He was found, sir, late that night, up there, in what they call the trophy room, sitting in a corner there, weeping. A child. Not a word of what had persuaded him to go or misled him there. Not a word of sorrow or sadness, thank God. He didn't know us, sir. Didn't know me. Just a simple, harmless, memory all gone. Simple, sir. But were there no premonitory symptoms? Now, had he been failing for long? If you will just follow me, there's a little place where I make my ablutions that might be of service, sir. We would converse there in better comfort. He turned and led the way with surprising celerity, and came to a pause outside a nail-studded door. He opened it with a huge key and admitted me to a recess under the central tower. We mounted a spiral stone staircase and passed along a corridor hardly more than 2 feet wide, and so dark that now and again I thrust out my fingertips in search of his black velveted gown to make sure of my guide. This corridor at length conducted us into a little room whose only illumination, I gathered, was that of the ebbing dusk from within the cathedral. The old man, with trembling rheumatic fingers, lit a candle, and thrusting its stick into the middle of an old oak table, pushed open yet another thick oaken door. You will find a basin and a towel in there, sir, if you will be so kind. I entered. A print of the crucifixion was tin-tacked to the panelled wall, and beneath it stood a tin basin and a jug on a stand. Never was water sweeter. I laved my face and hands, and drank deep, my throat like a parched river course after a drought. When I returned, the old man was standing motionless before the spike-barred grille of the window, peering out and down. You asked me, sir, or was there anything that had occurred previous that would explain what I've been telling you? They meet and they meet. They have now one expert, now another down from London, and even from the continent. And I don't say they are not knowledgeable gentlemen either, nor a pride to their profession. But why not tell all? Why keep back the very secret of what we know? That's what I'm asking. And what's the answer? Why, simply that they don't want to believe what runs counter to their hopes and wishes and credibilities and comfort in this world. That's what they keep out of sight as long as decency permits. But what is wrong here? Wrong, sir. Take mere situation. As far as my knowledge tells me, there is no sacred edifice in the whole kingdom, of a piece, that is, with All Hallows, not only in mere size and age, but what I might call sanctity and tradition, that is so open, I mean, sir, to attack of this peculiar and terrifying nature. Terrifying? Terrifying, sir. Though I hold fast to what wits my Maker has bestowed upon me. Where else, may I ask, would you expect the powers of darkness to congregate in open besiegement than in this narrow valley? As we stand now, we are above a mile from traces of the nearest human habitation, them merely the relics of a burnt-out old farmstead. I warrant that if, and which God forbid, you had been shut up here during the coming night, and it was a near thing what you weren't, I warrant you might have shouted yourself dumb out of the nearest window, if window you could reach, and not a human soul to heed or help you. Well, I hope I should not have disgraced my nerves to such an extreme as that. As a small boy, one of my particular fancies was to spend a night in a pulpit. There's a cushion, you know. But I take it, sir. If you had ventured to give out a text up there in the dark hours, your jocular young mind would not have been prepared for any kind of a congregation. You mean that the place is haunted? I mean, sir, that there are devilish agencies at work here. Don't, I entreat you, dismiss what I'm saying as the wanderings of a foolish old man. I have heard them with these ears. I have seen them with these eyes. Though whether they have any positive substance, sir, is beyond my small knowledge to declare. Devils are creatures made by God, and that for vengeance. Why, I ask, does every expert that comes here leave in haste and in dismay? They go off with their tails between their legs. They see, they grope in, but they don't believe. They invent reasons, and they hasten to leave us. Why? Why, because the experience is beyond their knowledge, sir. But surely every old building is bound in time to show symptoms of decay. Why should you suppose mere wear and tear should be caused by any other agency, then?
No, sir. I must apologize. I'm a poor mouth at explanations, sir. Decay, stress, strain, settling, dissolution. I have heard those words bandied from lip to lip like a game at cup and ball. They fill me with nausea. Why, I am not speaking of dissolution, sir, but of repairs, restorations, not decay, strengthening, not a corroding loss, an awful progress. I could show you places where stones, lately as rotten as pumice and as fretted as a sponge, have been replaced by others fresh quarried, and nothing of their kind within 20 miles. There are spots where massive blocks, a yard or more square, have been pushed into place by sheer force. All Hallows is safer at this moment than it has been for 300 years. But if you ask me for what purpose such doings are afoot, I have no answer. None. Did you hear? Now, sir, you'll see for yourself. On the other hand, we can leave the building at once if you're so minded.
No, lead on, I'll follow you.
Why then, sir, let us be gone at once. There's no time to waste. What I would suggest, if you have no objection, is your kindly grasping my gown. There's a kind of streamer here, you see, as if made for the purpose. There will be a good deal of up and downing, but I know the building blindfold, as you might say, inch by inch. And now that the bell ringers have given up ringing, it is more in my charge than ever.
He opened the door, grasped the candlestick, and then blew out the light. We were instantly marooned in an impenetrable darkness.
Please tug at the streamer if you need attention, sir. In a few minutes the blackness will be less intense.
I have endured too often the nightmare of being lost and abandoned in the stony bowels of some strange and prodigious building to take such an adventure lightly. I clung, I confess, desperately tight to my lifeline, and we groped forward. I found myself steadily ascending, and then in a while feeling my way down flights of hollowly worn stone steps, and anon brushing along a gallery or corkscrewing up a newel staircase so narrow that my shoulders all but touched the walls on either side. In spite of the sepulchral chill in these bowels of the cathedral, I was soon suffocatingly hot, and the effort to see became intolerably fatiguing. Once, to recover our breath, we paused opposite a slit in the thickness of the masonry, at which to breathe the tepid sweetness of the outer air. It was faint with the scent of wildflowers, and the cool of the sea. We then turned inward once more, ascending yet another spiral staircase. And now the intense darkness had thinned a little, the groined roof above us becoming faintly discernible. Dead still here, sir. If you please, dead still here. There's a drop of some 60 or 70 feet a few paces on. I peered out across the abyss, conscious as it seemed of the huge superincumbent weight of the noble fretted roof, only a small space now immediately above our heads. How long we stayed in this position I cannot say, but minutes sometimes seem like hours. And then, without the slightest warning, I became aware of a peculiar and incessant vibration. It is impossible to give a name to it. It suggested the remote whirring of an enormous millstone, or that, though without definite pulsation, of revolving wings, or even the spinning of an immense top. Do you see that, sir? I gazed and gazed, and saw nothing. Indeed, even in what I had seemed to hear, I might have been deceived. No time was given me to make sure. The old man had hastily withdrawn me into the opening of the wall through which we had issued, and we made no pause in our retreat until we had come again to the narrow slit of window, and could refresh ourselves with a less stagnant air. We stood here, resting a while. Well, sir, do you ever pass along here alone? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I make it a habit to be the last to leave, and often the first to come. But I am usually gone by this hour. It is so difficult to be sure of oneself. Have you ever actually encountered anything? Near at hand, I mean? I keep a sharp lookout, sir. Maybe they don't think me of enough importance to molest. But have you encountered anything? Have you? Well, yes, sir. And in this very gallery. They nearly had me, sir. But by good fortune there's a recess a little farther on. I had had my warning, and managed to leap in there and conceal myself, but only just in time. Indeed, sir, I confess, I was in such a condition of terror and horror. I turned my back. You mean you heard, but you didn't look? And something came? Yes, sir. I seemed to be reduced to no bigger than a child, huddled up there in that corner. There was a sound, like clanging metal. It drew near at a furious speed, then past me, making a filthy gust of wind. For some instants I couldn't breathe. The air was gone. And no other sound? No other, sir. Except out of the distance, a noise, like the sounding of a stupendous kind of gibberish, a calling, or so it seemed. No human sound. You see, sir, I myself wasn't of any consequence, I take it, unless a mere obstruction in the way. But I have heard it said somewhere that a rarity of these happenings is only because it's a pain and a torment, and not any sort of a pleasure for such beings, such apparitions, sir, good or bad, to visit our outward world. And if I may be forgiven the boast, sir, I seem to have almost forgotten how to be afraid since that time. What is anybody's life, sir? Come past the gaiety of youth, but marking time. Did you hear anything then, sir? No, I hear nothing. But please don't think I am doubting what you say. Far from it. You must remember that I am a stranger, and that, therefore, the influence of the place cannot but be less apparent to me. Aye, sir. Now, if you are sufficiently rested, would you perhaps follow me onto the roof? It is the last visit I make. We had not far to go. The old man drew open a squat, heavily ironed door, at the head of a flight of wooden steps, and admitted us at once to the leaden roof of the building and to the immense amphitheater of evening. We edged softly along, then paused once more to find ourselves now all but tete-a-tete with the gigantic figures that stood sentinel at the base of the buttresses to the unfinished tower. The mere sense of that abysm of space, the mere presence of the stony leviathan on whose back we two humans now stood, dwarfed it into insignificance beside these gesturing images of stone, were enough of themselves to excite the imagination. And whether matter of fact or pure delusion, this old verger's insinuation that the cathedral was now menaced by some inconceivable danger and assault had set my nerves on edge. My feet were numb as the lead they stood upon, while the tips of my fingers tingled as if a powerful electric discharge were coursing through my body. We moved gently on. Once, with a hasty gesture, the old man drew me back and fixed his eyes for a full minute on a figure, a forbidding thing enough, viewed in this vague luminosity, which seemed, in spite of the unmoving stare that I fixed upon it, to be perceptibly stirring on its wind-worn pedestal. No, sir. All's well, all's well. The night is uncommonly quiet. They seem to leave us at peace on nights of quiet. But we must turn in again and be getting home. You were saying that even the experts were perplexed by what they had discovered. What did they actually say? Say, sir? Look, examine that balustrade. Look at that gnawing and fretting, that furrowing above the lead there. All that is honest wear and tear, constant weathering of the mere elements, sir. Now compare it, if you please, with the St. Mark over here. I stooped close under the huge grey creature of stone, and unless the moon deceived me, I confess I could not find the slightest trace of fret or friction. Far from it. The stone had been grotesquely decorated in low relief with a gaping crocodile, a two-headed crocodile, and the angles, nubs, and undulations of the creature were cut as sharp as with a knife in cheese. I drew back. Aye. Now, cast your glance upward, sir. Is that what you would call a saintly shape and gesture? What appeared to represent an eagle was perched on the image's lifted wrist, an eagle resembling a vulture. The head beneath it was poised at an angle of defiance, its ears abnormally erected on the skull. The lean right forearm extended with pointed forefinger as if in derision. Its stony gaze was fixed upon the stars. Its whole aspect was hostile, sinister, and intimidating. I drew back, horrified. Aye, sir, and so with one or two of the rest of them. There are other wills than the Almighty's. I can't for the life of me understand what you are saying. One doesn't repair in order to destroy. No, sir. Say you so? And why not? Are there not two kinds of change in this world, a building up and a breaking down? To give strength and endurance for evil or misguided purposes, would that be power wasted, if such was your aim? Why, sir, isn't that true even of the human mind and heart? We are on the outskirts, I grant. But where would you expect the enemy to show himself unless in the outer defenses? An institution may be beyond saving, sir. It may be being restored for a worse destruction. And 100 trumpeting voices would make no difference when the faith and life within is tottering to its fall. At that instant, a dull, enormous rumble reverberated from within the building, as if a huge boulder or block of stone had been shifted or dislodged in the fabric. A peculiar, grinding, nerve-wracking sound. And for the fraction of a second, the flags on which we stood seemed to tremble beneath our feet. Come, sir, keep close. We must be gone at once. We have stayed too long. We emerged into the night at last without mishap. The little western door, above which the grinning head had welcomed me on my arrival, admitted us to terra firma again, and we made our way up a deep sandy bank. We turned when we reached the summit and looked back. All Hallows, vague and enormous, lay beneath us in its hallow, resembling some natural prehistoric outcrop of that sea-worn, rock-bound coast, but strangely human and saturnine. You'll forgive me, sir, for mentioning it, but I make it a rule, as far as possible, to leave all my troubles and misgivings outside when I come home. My daughter is a widow, not long in that sad condition. So I keep as happy a face as I can on things. On my way to bed that night, the old man led me in on tiptoe to show me his grandson. He was of that fairness which almost suggests the unreal. He had flung back his bedclothes, as if innocence in this world needed no covering or defense, and lay at ease, the dews of sleep on lip, cheek, and forehead. He was breathing so quietly that not the least movement was perceptible. The lovely thing. Where is he now, I wonder? And from out of the distance there came the first prolonged whisper of a wind from over the sea. It was 11 by my watch. The storm, after the long heat of the day, seemed to be drifting inland. But All Hallows, apparently, had forgotten to wind its clock. Incidentally, how is the stonework doing in your house these days? If you need any repairs, won't you drop us a line? We'll send someone right over. But now it's time to break up our little gathering for this evening. We'll meet again real soon. We're preparing a real thrill for you next time with H.P. Lovecraft's story about the rats in the walls. Another adventure with interior redecoration. Join us. Bring a friend. Good night.
The technical production for this broadcast was by John Whiting. Walter de la Mare's story, All Hallows, was adapted and performed for you by your host of the Black Mass, Eric Bowersfeld. This series was conceived by Jack Nessel and recorded October of 1963 in the studios of KPFA in Berkeley.
Welcome to the Black Mass.
Tonight, here is a tale about olden times, based, more or less, on the story by Montague Rhodes James, An Evening's Entertainment.
Nothing is more common form in old-fashioned books than the description of the winter fireside, where the aged grandam narrates to the circle of children that hangs on her lips story after story of ghosts and fairies, and inspires her audience with a pleasing terror. But we're never allowed to know what the stories were. Here, then, is a problem which has long obsessed me, but I see no way of solving it finally. The aged grandams are gone, and the collectors of folklore began their work too late to save most of the actual stories which the grandams told. Yet such things don't easily die quite out, and imagination, working on scattered hints, may be able to devise a picture of just such an evening's entertainment. Let's see now. There's the fire burning brightly in the large stone fireplace. On the one side sits the squire, exhausted by a long day after the partridges, and replete with food and drink. On the other side his old mother sits with her knitting, and the children, Charles and Fanny, are gathered about her knee.
Oh, I want to wind Granny's yarn. You did it last time.
No, you did it twice before that.
Well, that doesn't count because...
Now, my dears. You must be very good and quiet, or you'll wake your father. And you know what'll happen then.
Oh, yes, I know. He'll be wounded, cross-tempered, and send us off to bed.
What's that? Fie on you, Charles. That's not a way to speak. Now, I was to have told you a story, but if you use such like words, I shan't.
Oh, Granny, please.
Granny.
Oh, please, we'll be...
Oh, now I do believe you have woken your father.
Hey, look there, Mother. You can't keep them brats quiet.
Yes, John, yes, it's too bad. I've been telling them if it happens again, off to bed they shall go. There now. You see, children? What did I tell you? You must be good and sit still. And I'll tell you what. Tomorrow you shall go a blackberry. And if you bring home a nice basketful, I'll make you some jam.
Oh, yes, Granny, do. And I know where the best blackberries are. I saw them today.
Oh, and where's that, Charles, dear?
I know too, Granny. It's in the little lane.
It's in the little lane that goes up past Colin's cottage.
Charles? Fanny? Whatever you do, don't you dare to pick one single blackberry in that lane. Don't you know? But there, how should you? What was I thinking of?
Well, anyway, you both mind what I say.
Why, Granny?
Why shouldn't we pick
Why shouldn't we pick 'em?
Shh. Remember what I told your father.
But Granny, why?
Very well, then. I'll tell you about it. Only you mustn't interrupt. Here, Fanny, you can take the knots out of this skein for Granny. Now, let me see. Oh, my, sounds like a storm blowing up outside, doesn't it, children? Well, no matter. We're safe and warm inside, aren't we? Well, now, that lane. All this, mind you, happened when I was quite a little girl. That lane was feared even then, and as far back as anyone can remember. And if something that happened to your granny on that lane is any indication, I've often wondered if there was any connection between what I saw and all that about Mr. Davis and his friend that I'm about to tell you.
What did you see, Granny?
What did you see, Granny?
What did you see?
Well, you know that lane passes near to the top of that hill, where you've seen that old figure cut out in the crag? Well, I was passing along there one evening. I was already late getting home for my supper. But I remember seeing the currant and gooseberry bushes along the side leading to the top of the hill. The berries were ever so ripe and delicious. And before I realized, I had followed them, tasting one bush, then another, near to the top of the hill. Then I stopped for a moment. I was sure I heard something. Voices, I thought. But I couldn't make out plainly because of the wind. I couldn't make out whether they were coming from the top of the hill or from inside. Somewhere inside the hill itself, voices singing or calling or something. I wasn't frightened at all at first, and I remember walking farther up to see where the sounds were coming from, and the farther up I went, the more it seemed the voices were coming from all around me, from below as well as above. Then, suddenly, you know all those strange old rocks around the top of that hill? Beside one of those rocks. No one believed me when I told the story later, or made out they didn't believe me. Well, what I saw was a hand, a whole arm reaching up from out of the earth. Now, they say that the hill had once been a burial place in ancient times, and that a skeleton arm could very well be unearthed by the rains. But that was no skeleton arm. There was flesh on it, dark and old, and long nails, more like claws. Now you can believe me or not, but I say I saw that arm reaching up out of the earth. And it wasn't a dead arm. When I came nearer, I saw its fingers moving like it was in pain, like it was beckoning me to help it. The rest of it, out of the earth. Now, I told you that I wasn't afraid, and that's true, until I got so close that it almost touched me. But then suddenly a terrible fear overcame me, and I ran all the way down the hill. And I have never once set foot on that place since. Well, now, it was only a short while after that the events I was going to tell you about began. Careful, Fanny, not too close to the fire with that yarn. That's better. Well, now, up at the far end of that lane, let me see, is it on the right or the left-hand side as you go up? Oh, yes, the left-hand side. You'll find a little patch of bushes and rough ground in the field, and something like a broken old hedge round about, and the kind of gooseberry and currant bushes I told you about growing among it. Well, that means there was a cottage stood there, of course. And in that cottage there lived a man named Davis. This Mr. Davis lived very much to himself. He didn't work for any of the farmers, having, as it seemed, enough money of his own to get along. But he'd go to town on market days. And one day he came back from market and brought a young man with him. And this young man and he lived together for some long time and went about together. And whether he just did the work of the house for Mr. Davis, or whether Mr. Davis was his teacher in some way, nobody seemed to know. He was a pale young man and hadn't much to say for himself. Well, now, what did those two men do with themselves? Of course, I can't tell you half the foolish things that the people got into their heads. And we know, don't we, that you mustn't speak evil when you aren't sure it's true, even when people are dead and gone. But as I said, those two were always about together, late and early, and there's one walk that they'd take regularly to the place on the hill that I just told you about. And it was noticed that in the summertime they'd camp out there all night. I remember once my father, that's your great-grandfather, told me he had spoken to Mr. Davis and his young friend one evening when he met them on the road. He asked them why they were so fond of going up there.
Why? Why, sir, it's a wonderful old place, and I've always been fond of the old-fashioned things. And when my boy here and me are together there, it seems to bring back the old times so plain.
Well, it may suit you, but I shouldn't like to be in a lonely place like that in the middle of the night.
Oh, sir, we don't want for company at such times. That is to say, Mr. Davies and me is company enough for each other. Ain't it so, master?
Aye. Then there's a beautiful air there of a summer night, and you can see all the country round under the moon.
Oh, it looks so different, seemingly, from what it do in the daytime.
Them bars there, the mounds, all over up there. Now, what would you think was the purpose of them, sir?
Why, I've heard, Mr. Davies, that they're all graves. And I know when I've had occasion to plough up one, there's always been some old bones and pots turned up. But whose graves they are, I don't know. People say the ancient Romans were all about this country at one time. But whether they buried their people like that, I can't tell.
Oh, to be sure. Well, they look to me to be older like than the ancient Romans, and dressed different. That's to say, according to the pictures, the Romans was in armour. And you didn't never find no armour, did you, sir? Not by what you said.
Well, I don't know that I mentioned anything about armour. But it's true, I don't remember to have found any. But you talk as if you'd seen them, Mr. Davis.
Seen them, sir? That would be a difficult matter after all these years. Not but what I should like well enough to know more about them old times and people, and what they worshipped and all.
Worshipped? Well, I dare say I've heard and read about them heathens and their worship. Torture and dances, behaviour lewd and ungodly, sacrifices.
Oh, torture and dances, you say?
Sacrifices, you say? Lewd and ungodly behaviour. What manner do you suppose?
Read about them, you say. Heathen, you say.
That was the only time my father had much talk with Mr. Davis. It was around that time that people believed some sort of meetings went on at night time on that hill, and that those who went there were
up to no good. And there was known to be others besides Mr. Davis and his young man, I mean. And it was only guessed what really went on.
Dances and torches,
Not so close to the fire with the yarn, Fanny dear. Now mind what I say, else you find yourself going up in flames. Oh, don't stretch that skein so, Charles. Hold it loosely. That's it. Well, now. Well, I suppose it was a matter of 3 years that Mr. Davis and this young man went on living together. And then, all of a sudden, a dreadful thing happened. I don't know if I ought to tell you what it was.
Oh, yes, please, Granny, do, please.
Well, then, you must promise not to get frightened and go screaming out into the middle of the night.
Oh, no, we won't.
We won't. Of course we will. One morning, very early, towards the turn of the year, I think it was in September, one of the woodmen had gone up to his work near the hillside just as it was getting light. And what he saw nearly drove the poor man out of his wits. He dropped everything he was carrying and ran as hard as ever he could straight down to the parsonage and woke up old Mr. White.
Parson White. Parson White.
What is it, man?
Oh.
Quiet, glory be. What's the matter with you?
Oh, Parson, sir. Come with me quickly. It's horrible. It's horrible. Oh, but you must come with me to see what's to be done. What's to be done?
Just really quiet down and tell me what it is, man. What have you seen?
Oh, in the little woods near the hill there.
Yes.
So I was going up to my work, and I saw it in a clearing. A white thing, what looked like, through the mist. Like a man. Like a man, sir. And when I came near, I saw it was a man. Mr. Davies' young man, sir.
What?
Oh, he was dressed in a sort of white gown, sir. Yes, he
foolish.
was, and he was hanging by his neck to the limb of the biggest oak. Quite dead, sir.
Glory be.
But the real horrible thing, sir, was his hands.
His hands?
Oh, I don't think there were any hands.
What?
No, I couldn't rightly see for the blood, sir. Oh, the blood.
May the Lord bless us and save us. What a sight to behold! A demon's work, if ever I saw, and himself before us. His left hand chopped clean off. Oh, if clean we can call it. Maybe cleansed would be the word for it. Cleansed. But for the right. Blood!
There, Parson. There, just below. I hadn't seen before. Look, sir.
What? Oh!
The hatchet. The hatchet on the ground here. Stuck with blood and bits of flesh.
Horrible.
Some flies on it already.
Oh, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Do you think, sir, that this is a murder?
It's an abomination. An abomination, but I think it's his own act. I think so. You see here, the rock over here. He could have jumped from it and... Oh. Yes, it must have been. You can see the saints, the blood. The hand!
Aye, sir, 'tis the hand where he chopped it off. And there it lies. Oh, a sight, sir.
Such a thing.
Oh, and do you see, sir? Do you see it is grasping something?
So it is.
What with all the blood can you make it out? Oh. It seems flesh. It seems part of a living body. Oh, sir, what do you think?
God's mercy. I think it's no living body whose part this be. This is Mr. Davis's man, you say, on the tree.
Ah, yes.
I think we'd best find what we can of Mr. Davis himself.
Oh, yes, sir. We'd better hurry, I think.
Now.
Come on, sir. The cottage is down there. On the hill, you see, in the field.
Well, now, The door of the cottage stood wide open, and the two men rushed in, not knowing what horrors to expect.
Mr. Davis!
Mr. Davis!
Mr. Davis!
When they came to the little room which served as a parlour...
Oh, bless us and save us.
What they saw... Oh, they would not forget the sight for the rest of their lives. Well... There, in the center of the room,
work of the devil's own devil,
was a table that had been set up as a kind of altar or place of torture, and stretched across, his feet in clamps attached to the foot, and his wrists held at the corners above his head, spread out, naked, facing upwards, lay Mr. Davis. His body almost in shreds from a whip which lay beside him, a tangle of blood and flesh. But the worst of it, oh, the worst of it, the work of the axe. Just below the breastbone, the body had been sliced as far down and torn open, and inside the axe had hacked and slashed away. A part of the spine stuck up, but nothing else was recognizable except the blood. Oh, the blood everywhere. And the strangest thing of all...
Do you see the face, Woodman?
Aye, sir. The most horrible part.
There's a mark on it. The eyes staring up. With the mouth open into a terrible grin. Oh! Did you see that twitch?
Yes.
The man can't still be alive and breathing.
And trying to speak, it seemed. Both men leaned close to hear, and swore later what they heard, though no one could make sense of it. But they swore they saw the mouth move, and the words barely audible come forth.
Again. More.
Well, now, Fanny, you're shivering, dear, and so close to the fire. You should fetch a woolly from upstairs, dear.
No, Granny. I'm not cold.
Well, here, you put Granny's shawl round you anyway. That's it, now.
Well, did they bury Mr. Davis?
Did they bury Mr. Davis? Oh, that they did. And his young man together. That very night, but not in hallowed ground, as Parson White would have none of that, but up on the hill. And it was no proper burial either. Some of the men just dug a hole large enough and gathered rocks. Oh, only those few men needed for the task were there. They heard the bell.
It's not coming from the church, Parson.
No, we can all hear. It's coming from inside the hill. For the coming of them of their own.
Aye, Parson. And when we dug the grave, we could swear, but for the darkness and only the candles lighting, we struck things that screamed and pulled themselves deeper into the earth.
We've no place here. This isn't the Lord's ground. Quickly now, throw the bodies in. Cover them with rocks. Let me away now, come on.
And they did. But it wasn't exactly the end of the story.
What happened then, Granny?
What's that sound, Granny? Do you hear it?
Ah, the sound. I'm coming to that. Well, next morning, some of the town folks passing by saw those strange black patches on the road leading up the hill like a trail.
They look to be alive, like.
How could they be? But they shimmer so. And when they went closer...
Oh, God preserve us. Flies. Thousands of huge flies.
And look what they've been feeding on. Patches of blood from those bodies that were rolled up last night.
Where'd they come from? Well, there's never been so many flies about.
Oh, look! Lifting up all along. Oh, the sky is black with them. Oh, there's run! They found the women, swollen beyond recognition, almost changed in shape, you might say, looking more like them horrible half-animal monsters you see pictures of in ancient books. But almost as fast as they came, they were gone, the blood cleaned from the road, and as some folks swore, taken back by the flies into the hill. Now, Charles.
Yes, Granny.
And Fanny.
Yes, Granny?
Now, I want you to pay special attention to what I'm going to tell you. You remember my saying about them blackberry bushes, not to pick a single blackberry?
Yes, Granny.
Well, from what I'm going to tell you now, you can judge for yourselves. Now, I said those flies went back into the hill, or wherever they came from, but that wasn't the end of it. Some of them is always seen about up there. And it was one day, while I was courting your grandfather, we were walking up there among those very bushes, and one of them berries, at least I thought it was, seemed to come alive in my hand. I felt the sting, but couldn't open my hand. Now I can only say what I know. A numbness went over me. I heard sounds. Then something like a terrible whip. I can't remember all that happened, but your grandfather says he had to hold me from doing things, and it was his own words that the very devil had gotten into me. Later, when I opened my hand and wiped the awful insect away, I couldn't tell whether the blood had come from me or the demon itself. So you both mind what I say, and find your blackberries down in the hollow near the creek. Oh, but look at the time. Off with you to bed.
Oh, Granny.
Off with you now.
Granny, can we have a candle tonight?
A candle? Certainly not. Now, off with you, and Granny will come and tuck you in later. Go on.
Oh, Granny.
And Charles, don't you frighten your sister up there in the dark, or there'll be no more stories for you.
Mother, what's that?
Oh, I've just sent them off to bed.
Oh, you've been telling them those stories again. You know, Mother, that none of them is true. Where do you get them from?
Well, some of it's true, and the rest... Well, it's like I take hold of something and pull gently, and the rest comes up all of its own.
Well, I couldn't tell you where it comes from. I'm going to my bed, too. You'll see to locking up, Mother. Good night.
Oh, I'll see to it. Good night, Sonny. Yes. I'll just sit a little while longer. Where do they come from? Where?
That was, we hope, An Evening's Entertainment by Montague Rhodes James. Pat Franklin played Granny. Her children were played by Marion Winch and Arlene Sagan. The narrator and Parson White were played by Bernard Mays. Don LePage was Mr. Davis, and Frank Laverdi played Granny's father. Mr. Davis's young man and the woodman and the snoring father were played by Eric Bowersfeld, and the two ladies who were eaten by the flies were Arlene Sagan and Pat Franklin. The technical production for the story was by John Whiting, and the adaptation was by Eric Bowersfeld. And now, good night. Welcome to the Black Mass. Tonight, we come to you in a lighter mood. Here is a story by John Anthony West, selected for you and directed by Bernard Mays. The adaptation was by Richard Rowland. Pat Franklin is heard as Marjorie, and Bernard Mays as George. The story is one that could happen to anyone in front of their TV. We call it Atrophy.
Gunsmoke, the headache tablet to relieve pain. So relax tension, calm nerves.
This message can save you hours and hours of pain. Headache pain. Pain. Depression. Pain.
Oh.
Tension. Pain.
What's the matter?
Anxiety.
Foot's gone to sleep, that's all.
Fatigue. Pain. It tells of today's tablet.
George, cut it out. You're making an image jump.
Sorry, dear. Must have been sitting in the same position too long.
More of this pain reliever than any leading headache tablet.
George, dear, you don't have to make quite such a fuss about it.
I can't help it.
Depression.
Have to wake it up.
Tension. Anxiety. Fatigue.
Everybody's foot falls asleep.
My foot's asleep right now.
In minutes, headache pain is gone. So depression's gone.
The least you can do if you must hop, dear, is to hop out in the hall.
I'll be damned if I'll hop out in the hall just to wake up my foot.
You are being childish again.
Childish? What's childish? What's childish about waking my foot up?
It's your attitude that's childish.
Attitude? I'm trying to wake up my foot.
If you'll just sit down, dear, and forget it, it'll pass.
All right, I suppose it'll pass.
George.
What?
What do you think you're doing?
Can't I take off my shoes?
Suppose someone comes.
I suppose they do.
You're sitting there with your shoe on?
Well, can't I take off my shoes in my own house?
But you only took off one shoe.
I'm afraid I don't see the difference.
You're completely insensitive.
All right, we'll watch the program.
I'd have had one more dollar.
I know, I'm being silly. I can't watch the program when my foot's asleep.
Other men could. You have no intestinal fortitude, George.
Easy for you to say it isn't your foot.
And if it were, I wouldn't make a fuss about it. Men are all big babies.
What kind of work?
Any kind that'll pay us wages.
Marjorie, my foot isn't asleep.
Then why make all this fuss about it?
Well, there's something wrong with it. Sure, I'm serious. Look, I can't move it. My foot's stiff somehow. See, look at that. It won't move.
You're holding it that way on purpose. Don't take your sock off.
There, will you pay attention to me? Just look at that. Now do believe me. Look, see, I can't flex my toes even. My whole foot's rigid.
You're doing it on purpose. You just want my sympathy.
Marjorie, darling, please listen to me. Look, see there? I can't move it.
Well, you're not trying.
I know when I'm trying and when I'm not, I'm trying. Try to move it yourself.
I don't want to play games with your sweaty foot.
My foot isn't sweaty?
In this weather?
All right, my foot's sweaty. You try and move it, though. Go on.
I believe you. You can't move your foot.
You don't believe me? I can tell by the tone of your voice.
Your foot is asleep, but you can't move it. I believe you.
It is not asleep. There's something wrong with it. Sleeping foot doesn't just go rigid just like that.
You're such a hypochondriac, George.
Oh.
Every little thing. Just like the time you thought you had an appendicitis and it was gas pains.
And what was I supposed to think? I was lying on the bed in agony. It might have been appendicitis.
Well, it wasn't. And you're not lying in agony right now. Your foot is asleep. And why you have to make such a fuss about it, I just don't know.
A sleeping foot doesn't just go stiff.
It does when it's very soundly asleep. Maybe you sprained it walking around.
Well, how would I do that?
Oh, I don't know. Where did you walk today?
My usual walking, what do you think? I walked from the subway to the office, and I walked to the water cooler twice. No, it was 3 times.
You see? Usually you only go to the water cooler twice.
Yes, but I went to the men's room once. That makes up for it. You're always talking about things you don't know the first thing about.
How am I supposed to know? Usually you go twice.
That's precisely what I mean. Let's forget the whole thing.
Still, you can overexert a tendon and not know it. Remember Geraldine Roberts? Oh, she fell down the subway stairs and broke 3 ribs and didn't know a thing about it for a week.
I didn't fall down the subway stairs. I didn't overexert a tendon, and Geraldine Roberts was stewed to the ears when she fell.
So what? Your friend Walter is a complete lush.
We weren't talking about Walter.
Does it hurt?
No.
You walk like a war hero, George. Only hurts when I laugh.
I am not a war hero, and I don't want to walk like one.
Don't be such a milquetoast, George. You could have been a war hero.
How could I have been a war hero? I was in Jersey training recruits the whole time.
Yes. You're training recruits, and a nervous private drops a hand grenade. In another second, you see that the whole regiment will be blown to smithereens, and you leap on top of it,
and my God, all of which results in a stiffened foot, I suppose. Besides, I was training them to use a calculating machine. And if someone dropped a hand grenade near me, you can bet that... Oh. Marjorie, my other foot's gone stiff. I can't move it.
You mustn't get this excited. Now come and sit down, and it will pass in a moment. Your other foot's gone to sleep, that's all. Oh, don't make such a fuss about every little thing.
Don't make such a fuss. Great Christ, you think I was just anybody. Me, George, your husband. Suddenly I'm paralyzed and I can't walk, and you say that I'm...
Of course you can walk. You were just walking.
Do you call this hobble walking? Look, is this walking?
There are millions of people who would give their right arm to walk that well.
And what the hell do I care about them? It's me, George, who can't walk right now. I've got leprosy or something, and you just sit there.
You don't have leprosy, George. If you had leprosy, your feet wouldn't stiffen. They'd fall off.
Oh, my
Leprosy, 'twas all over leprosy.
Shut up. Can't you see I'm frightened?
I was just trying to cheer you up, dear. Now look at it this way. It can't be anything serious. If it were something serious, there'd have to be symptoms, right? Now, there's no serious disease without symptoms. I think you should just go off to bed now and put the whole thing out of your mind. Your feet will be back to normal tomorrow morning. You have no idea, dear, how foolish
You think I care? Do I care about appearance at a time like this?
You might at least try to behave like a gentleman.
Oh, appearance is always appearances with you. All women are the same. Intrinsic value means nothing to you at all, as long as it looks nice.
That's not true, George, and you know it.
Nothing was ever more true. You'd eat horse manure if it came served with parsley.
I would not.
You would.
I wouldn't.
You would.
Wouldn't.
Would.
Wouldn't, wouldn't, wouldn't.
Would.
Wouldn't, wouldn't,
God,
wouldn't,
we sit here
wouldn't.
talking as though nothing was wrong and my feet are paralyzed. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
The first thing, George, is to relax. You mustn't let yourself get so excited. If you were a professional tennis star or something, I could understand. But all you have to do
Yes,
is...
I suppose get to the office. As long as I bring home the bacon, it doesn't matter how I get there.
President Roosevelt had to go around in a wheelchair, and that didn't stop him from becoming the...
You don't understand, President. You just don't understand.
I understand, George. Believe me, I do. In a week, you'll get the hang of it. Really, you will. Besides, it'll be all better in the morning.
You know it won't. You're just trying to cheer me up. No one's ever had this before. Nobody's feet ever stiffened. Not just like that.
You always think you're better than everyone else. It happens to lots of people, dear.
Oh, name one.
I don't know any personally.
That's just it. That's why I'm worried. If we just knew what it was. Oh, I suppose you're right. There's no point in getting excited. Better watch the program.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to be as independent?
There's nothing wrong with you when you go running to the doctor.
Do you want me to call the doctor at this hour?
I didn't say that.
Glass for glass.
If it's no better in the morning, we'll call him then. All right?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a little...
Not a juice or juice product.
Oh, Marjorie, my knee. It's my knee. I can't move my knee. Look, will you look, please? Oh, for God's sake. Hey, look here. My knee's completely stiff.
George, dear, relax. Please relax. I'll go and call the doctor. Please relax now.
Go.
Hello?
Save 12 cents on the 1 pound
Hello?
5 ounce size.
Hello? Operator. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh, he's not in.
Marjorie, what's taking so long?
The doctor wasn't in, dear. I'm calling another one.
My God.
Hello?
Oh. Marjorie, for the love of God, my other knee. My other knee's paralyzed. Tell him to hurry.
I really can't carry on 2 conversations at once, dear.
Marjorie, my knee. Well,
Well, what?
Well, what do you think? What is it? What did he say?
Just what I told you. Nothing serious.
Huh. Well, did he know what it was?
Of course he knew. Did you think you were the only one? I told you.
All right, no sermons. Tell me what he said. What is it?
Atrophy.
Atrophy? Atrophy?
Plain, common atrophy.
Just atrophy? So that's it, atrophy. Well, at least we know what it is.
I told you.
I told you. Wasn't knowing that scared me. Well, now, what do we do about it?
Well, nothing.
Nothing? Nothing? You mean to tell me that I have a fatal disease? I have a fatal disease and you sit there calmly and tell me there's nothing we can do?
George, get hold of yourself. There's nothing fatal about the disease. The doctor said not to worry. Nothing can be done about it. But there are absolutely no dangerous effects.
Oh, well, I suppose that's a relief. Nothing we can do. But there are no dangerous effects.
Right. You can do anything you would do normally, except move.
Well, that's at least something. We should be grateful for that.
You have to have courage, George. We have to have courage. We have to fashion a whole new life for ourselves. Won't be easy.
No, I can't face it. Happened too quickly. This evening I was a man in my prime. I could have done anything I wanted. Now...
Well, we can start from scratch, George, dear. We'll start a new life.
I can't walk anymore. I can't go for a simple stroll.
You never went for walks, dear. When did you ever take a walk?
That isn't the question. It's that now I can't even if I wanted to, and I was planning on taking a walk, actually.
When?
Well, this Sunday I was going to walk round the block.
You have to stop thinking this way, George. You can't give in to self-pity.
Such a simple thing, a stroll round the block.
Stop it, George. You know you wouldn't have gone.
I was planning to.
There's nothing on the other side of the block anyhow.
How do you know?
I've been there.
And there's nothing?
Nothing. Well, hardly.
That's what I mean. You see, I wanted to see for myself.
George, you must take my word for it. There's nothing interesting to be seen.
Well, I suppose I've just got to get used to the whole idea. My thighs just went. I can't move them.
Have courage, darling, please. For your sake, for mine, have courage.
Well, I suppose things could have been worse. Suppose it hadn't happened at home, eh?
Yes.
I mean, it might have happened in the subway, or tying my shoelace, or painting the ceiling.
You are wonderful, darling.
I don't like this any better than you do. I can't go bowling anymore, or fishing, or play ball, nothing.
George, darling, you never went bowling. You never did any of those things.
No, true. But I'm still young. I could have done them. I can't ping pong.
You never played ping pong.
I always wanted to.
Well, we have to make a living. You can't go to work. What will we live on? We have to eat.
I hadn't thought of that.
I'll work, George. I don't care. We'll get along, don't you worry. I'll do anything. I'll take in washing, I'll scrub floors, I'll work in a millinery shop, don't you worry. I'll keep us going.
Maybe we can get back that modelling job, eh?
George.
Now, let's see now. Will we need money? With our social security, company benefits, disability, all our policies. 10, 25, 31. I figure 40 a week.
Yes. Well, the price we have to pay...
Well, it's not so bad at all. In fact, we'll have more money. We can buy the things we've always wanted. My own needs will be less. Just let me have...
Don't do that, dear.
Don't do what?
Reach for the peanuts. Who knows? Any minute now and you'll be reaching for peanuts the rest of your life.
Oh, Marjorie.
I'm serious. If you want something, dear, ask me for it. Is there anything you want? You can still move from the waist...
My waist. The atrophy hit my waist.
Won't it stop, George? Why won't it stop, George? Won't it stop? Why us? Why not someone else?
That's selfish thinking, dear.
Sitting around that's so awful. This awful sitting, watching it happen. It'd be different if I went out to a cinema and came back and found you atrophied and this dying by inches.
You know I'm not dying, and please don't get emotional.
Oh, don't lift your arm. Don't do that. Tell me what you want and I'll do it for you.
Well, it's only a small thing.
Anything, George, no matter how small.
Would you scratch my nose for me? A little higher. Thanks.
Whole life ahead of you, and you'll never be able to scratch yourself. Oh, George. I'll have to be beside you always, to scratch for you.
No, when the atrophy set in, there's no sensation at all. Actually, just a few moments.
That's the worst part of all. A whole life to live, and you'll never know what it is to itch.
Oh, my dear. Oh. You know what I'll miss? I'll miss making myself snacks for the late show.
I'll make you marvellous snacks, George.
No, it won't be quite the same thing. Don't quite understand. You see, when you go to bed early, I stay up for the late show and the late show, and in between the two I get a little hungry. The house is completely quiet. Sometimes I hear buses down the avenue. Once in a while a fire engine, an ambulance. Looks like there isn't a bit of food in the place, and I go to the refrigerator and open it, and a whole world of midnight snacks lights up there before my eyes. Herring and sour cream, herring in wine sauce, odds and ends of cheddar, pimento olives, Rita spread, quarter of cantaloupe, half a thing of blue cheese. Go through everything, look around, pick out one, put it back. There are dishes and dishes with covers on them, and little things that were left over we've forgotten about. One by one, take off the covers. There's meatball.
What's that, dear?
2 slices of roast beef. Sugar everything. Don't choose. No, don't choose. Go to the bread box. Half a loaf of rye, 3 or 4 kinds of crackers. Still an engine. Go to the pantry. Peanut butter. Peanut butter.
All kinds of jam. Maybe during the day you bought some sardines. New brand, maybe. Have some tuna fish, salmon. No, still I don't choose. Go to the cabin with the sugar and the flour and the breakfast cereals. Cornflakes. You know, there weren't any cornflakes yesterday. Cornflakes. Did I see peaches in the refrigerator? No. Yes, I don't remember. I run to the refrigerator, and if there are peaches, I'll have peaches, cornflakes, and more peaches, and cream.
No, George, there aren't any peaches, dear, but there are strawberries. Nice big ones. You can have cornflakes with strawberries instead.
Oh, well, you must.
I never knew it meant so much to you. I never dreamed.
Oh, it was only something small.
Small things are the most important. Really, darling, it doesn't matter.
The arm just went.
Oh. You know those roses? George!
Made it. Peanuts.
Oh, you mustn't do that. You want to give me heart failure. George, you know what could happen. Just one more second.
Yes, but I did make it, you know. There's nothing to worry about.
Promise me you won't do that again.
All right, I promise. But I had to reach for my last handful of peanuts, you know.
You have more courage than most men, George. No one will ever tell me that my husband was a coward.
Oh, don't be silly. It was
Now, don't be modest, George. You know perfectly well that most men would have just sat there. Men with less character would have hesitated.
The other arm. Look, see?
You see? That split second was all. Other men would have been less decisive. And in that time... But you, George, you defied fate. Oh, I go all weak inside when I think of it, George. I really do. George!
What's it now, dear?
Our lives, darling. Our lives are ruined.
No, please don't start that over again.
You have to stay in that chair the whole rest of your life.
Well, we both know that, Madge, dear.
You don't. I don't think you know what that means. You can't ever leave, ever. Forever, you'll always be sitting there.
Of course, I know that. It's perfectly clear.
You don't understand. You don't see.
You'll have to bring me my food. And that'll be a bother, I suppose. You'll have to vacuum around me. Well, I still don't see why you have to get so excited about it.
You can't come to bed, George.
Oh, that's so. I suppose I hadn't thought of that. Oh, with a couple of extra blankets, I'll be warm here. It won't be as bad as all that.
And me, George? I'll have to get between the cold sheets alone.
Oh, Marge, a couple of extra blankets will be warm enough.
We can't make love anymore. We aren't husband and wife. We aren't lovers anymore.
I hadn't thought of that.
Not another chance. Never again. Oh, George, that was the best part, George. I loved most then. Always in your arms and the little light glowing. You always said such silly little things. I loved you most then, George. It's my fault, George, all my fault. If I'd been a little more understanding before, if I'd listened to my intuition just a while ago, when it was just your foot, we could have had one last chance. Just one last time in your arms.
Oh, we just didn't think of it, Marge. I didn't, and you didn't. Anyway, it isn't Wednesday. And it's no use crying over spilt milk.
Our quarrels were made up there, George. The nights were all soft and tender. In your arms I was a princess at dawn, George, beside my sleeping prince. It was marvellous. It was perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were passionate. Each day was an experience, wasn't it, George? Every night, 8 hours out of paradise. We were happy, so very happy, weren't we, George?
Yes.
We did things together. What lives we led. Everyone envied us. We made life so exciting. Never fought, never bickered like other couples. We were happy, weren't we?
Mom? Oh, yes, I said we were. We were very happy.
The nights, George. How will I get through the long nights alone? We're so young, George. Our lives were all before us. So young. I'm 32, George. A girl. A young girl. And you? 34. Your life has just begun.
Marge?
Yes, dear?
Are you sure I'm 34?
I'm certain. Oh, George.
Funny, I always thought of myself as much older than that.
It's affected your mind, darling. That, too.
No, really. Well, you know how it is. I suppose one day is like the next. A year goes by and you don't notice it. And then 5... Oh! My neck.
Oh,
It's all over, George. Our lives are finished. There's nothing left for us.
No, that's not true, Marge. We can still talk.
Yes. Yes, we can still talk. That's right, George. We can still talk. Talk to me, darling.
Well, I can't just talk. I have something to say.
Of course. And when you think of something, you'll talk to me, won't you, George? Promise me.
You mustn't worry, darling. I'll always be beside you whenever you need me.
I'll stay by your side always. I'll never leave you for another.
No.
I'll refuse all invitations. I won't let myself be tempted. George. George, look at me.
Well, but I can't, you know. My eyes are focused straight ahead. At the television. I didn't even know it.
Well, it's almost over. Thank God for that. But George, are you blind? Can you see?
Yes, I can see all right.
Aren't you afraid, George?
No, I'm not afraid.
George! It's not your normal voice. Not that, too. George! George, talk to me. I'm frightened. Say something. Some last thing. Don't leave me like this. Tell me what it's like. What do you feel? I've got to know, George.
It's not so bad. It's not better. Not better at all. Really, I quite like it.
That was Atrophy, adapted by Richard Rowland from a story by John Anthony West. Bernard Mays played George, and Pat Franklin played Marjorie. The technical production was by Fred Seiden. And now, good night.
The musical introduction for The Black Mass was designed by Peter Winkler. This series was conceived by Jack Nessel and recorded in the studios of KPFA in Berkeley.